time for some more quail math. In this video I'm going to look at the rooster to hen ratios. Now, if you're raising quail through generation, you're going to need roosters in there to fertilise the eggs. You can't just have hens, they won't get fertilised, so you won't be able to keep them going. So you need roosters. Now, when it comes to quail, I like to go 1 to 5, that's just me, for 1 rooster to 5 hens. There are some benefits to not having too many roosters. If you have too many roosters, you will get a lot of overbreeding of the hens, so they'll get beaten up unnecessarily because the eggs are already fertilised. There's just constant breeding going on. 2, the roosters will fight a lot, so there's a lot of stress on the birds, a lot of fighting. You don't want that. And 3, you just have to feed them. So if you have too many roosters, you're really feeding them for no purpose because the eggs are already fertilised. You can pair up roosters 1 to 1 or something like that at a lower ratio in smaller cages, but what I'm talking about for this formula is in a big colony cage where you put all your birds and all your adult birds that are breeders. They're in one colony cage. That's when this ratio really starts to apply. So we'll get into it. I'll just show you a formula that I'd use.
So this is a fairly basic formula, as I mentioned. There's not too much to it. It may take you back to high school, but it's really not that complicated. We have the maximum number of birds, being M, that we've established we can fit in a certain area. We have the hen to rooster ratio. Now, it's a personal preference, and as I mentioned, I go with 5 to 1. So we're trying to work out the number of roosters required, and I have a roundup for the number of roosters for insurance, a rule that I do have. So I'm going to show you an example. In this example, we will have a maximum number of 25 that we can fit in a particular area, and applying the ratio that I go with, 5 plus 1, gives me a number of roosters of 4.17. Now, you can't have 0.17 of a bird, obviously, and that's where I go to my rule and I round up. So I give 5 as the rooster, and then I have to take that off just to work out the number of hens. So you have to work backwards. So I've got a 5 rooster to 20 hens, which is technically a 4 to 1 in this scenario, but that's just because I'm applying insurance, and it doesn't always work out like that, but in this example it does. So just to show another example, we have 24. When we apply the same ratio, we come out straight out with 4. So I don't need to round that. Now, I as I mentioned, I've got 4 roosters to 20 hens. Now, you can do insurance without the rounding. You can just add 1 if you want. You would add insurance if you wanted to just cover in case a rooster dies or one is lazy. Doing another example, just to carry it through, 32, and giving a 4 to 1 ratio, if you wanted to go with that, you'd get a rounding of 6.4 for number of roosters, and you can round that up, to 7. So that's another example, and then you just apply that and take it off from the maximum. So you always have to do that work back, and then you end up with 25 hens. So when you work out your numbers to start with and maximum you can fit, this formula is very simple, and yeah, it's quite easy to work with. So it's just something to utilize. It's something I do in my head often, just when I'm out in the yard, when I'm working out what numbers I have and what I want to get through a particular season of the year. So there you have it, a very simple tool to help with your ratios.